Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Shit Moms Won't Say. My guest tonight kind of does it all. In addition to starring in movies like Jarhead and one of my horror nerd favorites, which was actually a total surprise to me, Prom Night, she is the creator and host of the popular podcast Secret Life, which has led her to become a best-selling author when she debuted her book this year. Mom of one, Brianne Davis.
Hi.
Hello. Hello. And we were just like talking. It's so funny. So Brian's on the West Coast. I'm on the East Coast. I think everybody,
Yeah.
you can figure it out by our vibes right away, right? I'm like flannel and a t-shirt, and you're like, I live in California. Um,
Woohoo.
I love it. But this the filming's working really well because we both have a toddler. She's on like school pickup duty, and I'm now on like go the fuck to sleep duty.
Yes, right now. Go to sleep right now.
Go to sleep right now. So when we're done filming, I can go look at my Christmas tree, sip on my seltzer, and have a snack. So we're living parallel lives a few hours apart. So it's
I
always
love
very
it.
nice to have a toddler mom on. So let's get into the Big Mom 3. And then like I said to you before, I love your podcast. I love anybody who can make something from their own struggles, their own real life experiences, and turn it into something that is helpful. Not to pat myself on the back, but that is perhaps what has happened here. So let's do the Big Mom 3, and then let's talk about all the stuff. So
Perfect.
awesome. First question of Big Mom 3. Did you always know you wanted to be a mom?
No, hell no. I never wanted to be a mom
Me
at all.
either.
Like, I was never one of those women that wanted to be a mom, wanted to get married. I just felt I was too selfish, self-seeking, didn't have the tools, could not hold boundaries, just not interested, like at all. Like, I'd see a baby and I'd turn the other way. Which sounds
I'm sad you live
horrible.
on the other coast. We'd be very good friends. What shifted though? Like what changed that?
When I got in recovery 12 years ago for my sex and love addiction, I did so much inner child work that I think I got to fall back in love with my inner child myself.
Mm.
And doing that trauma work and feeling all those things that I've been pushing down my whole life. And then when I hit the 8-year mark of my recovery, my sister had my nephew. And I remember holding him, and I've never felt such a pure love for another human being ever. Like this pure, honest love. And after that, I was like, maybe I do actually want a child of my own. And I think working through my husband and all of our stuff that we've been together for 17 years, that
Wow.
we just came to a place where I got pregnant when I was shooting Six, the first season, and we lost the baby while I was
Mm.
shooting on set. Like, I was on set
Ooh.
and I miscarried after 11 weeks. It was horrific. And that was the moment, clearly, like, we are ready for this. We want this. So yeah, it was been a journey for me for a really long time to become a mother. Is
Wow. So I mean,
yeah.
and you're definitely not the first person on here to be like, no, I didn't want kids. You're the
Mhm.
first person to bring up inner child work, which
Oh,
sucks. It
totally. It's the
sucks.
worst.
It's the worst work. It's the work you have to do. It sucks. So
It
I think that's
sucks.
really interesting. And I think that that makes a ton of sense that you were able to like reconnect with yourself and say, like, here's why I didn't want kids. It's not, you know, that's really
Yeah.
cool. I love that.
Yeah. And that inner child work is so necessary when you come from trauma or a background that isn't healthy. Even if you don't, you need to do that inner child work because things happen through middle school, high school, college that you push down and suppress. We're humans. We tend to do that. So when I did that inner child work, and I remember my therapist being like, I want you to get a doll and carry it around with you and like hold it when you're feeling things. And I was like, like, I don't want to do
I
any
know
of
it
that.
sounds crazy, but that shit works. I know it sounds
Totally.
totally nuts.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Again, first person that's ever brought those two together. So very, very cool. Second
Thanks.
question of the Big Mom 3, and
Mhm.
I always love whoever is answering this question. I love the answer to this question. What is the shittiest or most backhanded piece of advice or comment you've ever gotten from another mother or parent?
I feel like I get so much shitty advice from people that it goes in one ear and out the other. I think when you've done so much work on yourself, you just don't let people's energy penetrate you. But I do remember after I had my son, I started working 4 months after. I was shooting a movie in St. Thomas. And I remember when I was telling somebody that I was stopping breastfeeding to shoot the movie, that they were like disappointed in me. Like their face, it wasn't a comment, it was a look like, how could you stop breastfeeding for your child? And I was looking at him being like, I want my body back. Like, I want my body back. He has had his nutrition and he can be on formula just like I was. Like, I do remember that really clearly. And
Wow.
I felt a little shamed. And then I was like, wait, I don't want to be shamed over if I'm going to be breastfeeding or not. It's none of your business.
People are shitty. People
Totally
are so
shitty.
dumb. Dumb.
Well, they always want to have control over women's bodies. I'm not shocked. Like, that's just
Yeah.
how it is. Like,
It's
stop.
true. Everybody loves to be controlling women's bodies, but when it comes to gun control, don't even bring it up. Anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Aw, America's cute.
Sometimes
we're real cute.
Sometimes we need to go in the naughty chair is what I think.
Sometimes America needs to do some inner child work.
Totally.
Okay?
Can you imagine if the whole world or just America did inner child work and they interacted with other people like they were the child? Like, we're all walking around like toddlers trying to work out our shit. Like, do your own work and don't go out in the world and put your trauma on other people.
Don't trauma dump. No one wants it. No one wants that shit.
Come on.
Okay. We all got our own shit. But imagine like America reparents itself.
Oh my God, that would be beautiful. It would really be a beautiful world, honestly, if they provided therapy, if they provided in schools how to have healthy relationships, healthy communication, managing money, like all those things need to be taught.
Of course they do, but they're not.
I know.
They're not taught. Oh, it's so fun. We have fun. Okay, third question of the Big Mom 3, or I will have to like hop on my soapbox and just start like banging on my chest. So before I get to that point, let's get to the Big Mom 3.
Perfect.
The third question: what is a skill or superpower you had before becoming a mom that you think has really helped you as a mom?
I think having clear boundaries. Working on my skills to have clear boundaries has really helped me as a mom. Other than I'm a great multitasker, that I cannot suck energy from my child for myself. Because I came from a background where you fed the parents' energy.
Are you sure we're not related?
We could be. Who knows? But like a parent's energy should be coming towards the kid. So I don't do things like give mommy a hug. I'm having a bad day. I don't enmesh with my child. I don't make my child my whole universe. If I'm on a meeting for my recovery, I say to my son, Mama's on a meeting right now. I will play with you in 15 minutes when I'm off. So it's those clear boundaries that I get to help him have and not go out into the world and like put his junk on other people, if you know what I mean.
No, I do. I totally do. And you're helping him like have his own anonymity to them, right? Like, because it sounds like we perhaps come from similar backgrounds. And when that kind of shit is put on a child, you don't know how to establish boundaries. And then in turn, like that's how that cycle repeats, right?
Yeah,
like,
codependency, enmeshment, trauma, like reaching outside of yourself to fill your insides. And it's just like, I don't want my son to struggle like I did. And when I did all that generational work, looking back, it's been going on for generations and generations and generations. And it's stopping with me. Like, I'm not going to allow it to happen.
Cycle Breakers Club, man. I love that. That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I didn't even know that about you. That's exciting stuff too. I just knew you were a sex and love addict. I didn't know you were as deeply wounded as I am. That's terrific.
Girl, we don't have enough time. We're talking
I know. You got to pick your kid up. We got shit going on.
We got things to do. 8 years of intense therapy twice a week, 12-step work of 12 years. Like, dude, I have some shit that I had to dig up and deal with.
I love it. I love that. Okay, well, speaking of shit, right? So, like I said,
Yes.
I love anybody who can, manifest something from something that was probably at one point perceived as ugly and bad and not the thing or the person you want to be,
Yeah.
and that's very much how I built my show, was like on my own shit, and
Mhm.
you did this in a much grander way, like your audience has really, really grown and grown. You've written a book off of it. Like, talk me through what made you pull the trigger on just sort of sharing your shit, and then
Yeah.
how it's evolved and where it's going.
I mean, it was a really slow process. Honestly, I was a person that always had on a mask. It was like a mask on top of a mask on top of a mask. And then I became an
Mm.
actor for 20 years. And it's like, my therapist looked at me and she said, "You picked the worst career for your addiction," because I'm addicted to people. Like, I snort and drink people. I want attention, validation, drama, unavailable because I'm unavailable. I'm scared to be loved. I'm
Oh,
terrified of intimacy. I do not want to be abandoned. So I abandon you before you abandon me, kind of situation. So, yeah, when I started the process of doing all this recovery work 12 years ago, I didn't tell anyone. And then it just slowly opened up my friends, my family, the community. I started speaking all over the world at recovery places and stuff like that. But it's like, I didn't decide until 2 years ago to tell the world in this
yeah.
HuffPost article that I wrote, because this is what happened. I was in the rooms and so many young kids are coming into the Sex and Love Addicts Anonymous rooms, struggling with intimacy, struggling, connecting, having lasting relationships. The porn that is like killing them right now. They're over sexualized on Instagram and social media. So all these young, like 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds were coming in, like struggling so much and suicidal. And it just hit me. I got my 10-year chip and it was in my hands, this gold chip. And it just was like something spoke to me, like, you have to do bigger. You can't just be in your community now. And I was so tired of the narrative too, that just sex addicts or sex and love addicts are men that cheat on their wives and then go to sex rehab. And there's such a bigger spectrum of sex, using sex as a currency, having control and manipulation, which you can do with your husband. You can have control and manipulation with your sexuality with your husband. So I just came out and said, "Hey, this is me. This is where I am. I'm a woman. I'm in recovery, and this doesn't define who I am." And doing that, like, the morning it was released, I freaked out. I kid you not. Like, what am I doing? I'm ruining my career. I'm never going to work again. Like, blah, 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 like, freak out. But what happened? Nothing happened. Nobody cared. Nobody really, like, talk about humble. I was like, "Lady, get out of your way. Like, you are not a big deal. You are a worker among workers. Chill out." But what did happen that month, it was downloaded 2 million times. I had so many
Amazing.
people reach out to me and say, "Me too. That was my husband. That was my wife. That was my mom, blah, blah, blah." And it was like that last bit of stigma and shame just evaporated. Like, I didn't even know I had the teeny bit of stigma and shame. So I woke up one morning after the pandemic and I go, "Oh my God, Secret Life podcast. I'll give other people the chance to let go of their secrets, their stigma, their shame, things that's been plaguing them. And they could change their names." Cause like 80% of our guests are anonymous.
Of course,
And
yeah.
the other ones are well known, but I'm like, I love the anonymous guests. My first one I recorded that was anonymous was a woman in New York, and she shot herself in the chest with a shotgun because she couldn't reach perfectionism. And she was like a business owner. It's the Kristen episode. It was the most
Okay.
powerful moment for me. And she walked me through committing suicide with a shotgun in her car and that whole process after. And now she's helping people and like using her voice for suicide prevention, and that we need mental health and all that in her community. And it's such a beautiful thing. So yeah, that really started the journey for me, is like, my struggles, if I can help one person not use another person, not put their trauma on someone else, then that doesn't go to another person. It's that ripple effect. Like, I
Yeah.
saw the damage with my amends, with my resentments, my character defects. I saw the ripple effect of the damage I did to next person. And then they took it to the next relationship and so on. So my ripple effect now is I want to help people heal. And
I
if I
love
can help
that.
one person heal, then I've done my job.
You know what else is so cool about your show and ultimately your book? Like, I think people get into it thinking like, ooh, this is going to be like a fun little dirty secret show.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's not. Like, it is not. Like, you land there and you're like, no, no, no. These are people who have been through some shit who are now using that shit to heal. And like you
Yeah.
said something before, you said like, most people be like, be better. You said be bigger. And
Yeah.
like, that's a great sentiment, right? Like, it's not about being better. It's like about taking what you have and using it. Like, that's not doing better. That's like using what you got. So I think
Yeah.
it's amazing. I love what you built. I'm just in total awe of it. I think it's great.
Thank you
Yeah,
so
you're
much.
welcome. I
Yeah.
think it's awesome. Yeah, it's so cool. But so now the book is out, right? Came out in
Yes.
February. So,
Yes.
and you're like, I don't know, a bestseller. So that's probably pretty cool. You probably
It
really
is
feel pretty
cool.
good about that.
I do, but that's the thing. I still struggle just like everyone else. So even when I accomplished this thing, having ADHD, having dyslexia, writing a book, I did not have a ghostwriter. Like I
Oh,
wrote the
wow.
book and doing the work. I had an editor, I had a copywriter to help me, like if punctuation was wrong and things like that. But like I still struggle thinking like, wait, is it that good? Or oh, I don't know. Oh, it didn't get this many things or this many things. And it's like, stop. Like you are to be of service to other people. And I still go into that compare and despair, not good enough. And it's like, no, like I said, this is not about me. This is about helping other people. And I really try to stay in that place. And yeah, but it was pretty cool hitting bestseller.
That's
I
awesome.
like four times and it was really exciting. I was like, oh my God.
Amazing. It's amazing. But you know what? That's specifically tough though, like especially for like your brand of addiction, right? Like, and people
Yeah.
can be like, addiction is addiction is addiction. No, like, yes, but no. Like the validation that comes from like a love and sex addiction is so
Yeah.
comparable to like social media, right?
Oh,
So
it's
it's hard.
horrific.
Like I do
Yeah.
it with my Instagram all the time. So like we are just over a year old and like we've grown pretty nicely. Like I look at my numbers, I'm like, oh, look at my followers. Okay, great. Oh, it's not as high as this person. And I have to remind myself, like, no, just who gives a shit? Like this is your
Stay in your
thing.
lane,
Stay in your
right?
lane.
Like
It's your
stay in your
thing.
lane,
But that's
lady.
hard because now that you had 2 million people read your article. The next time you write an article, you're like, why didn't 2 million people read this article?
Exactly.
But if
But
you
it's
build
the
it, they
exact
come and you're healing and you're helping and it doesn't matter.
yes. Amen. Amen. That is the
Each on
truth.
that.
Yeah.
That being said, follow me on Instagram because I have severe abandonment issues.
And you better like everything because I
Like
have
everything.
validation
That's
issues.
right. If you don't like her stuff and you don't follow me, we will regress. We will get back into bad habits. So that's on you guys. Just remember that. That's on everyone out there. Talk about trauma dumping. I was like, hello, world. This is your fault now.
I am the victim. I
That's
have
right.
no responsibility.
Constantly, I'm the victim. Oh God, no, I'm never the victim. Are you kidding? No,
No.
no, 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 no. That victim mentality could put me in a coma. Absolutely not. Okay, but now, so amazing. What
Yes.
comes next for you? Or are you just sitting in the? I shouldn't say just. You're sitting in this book space because it's new, right? This happened in
Yes.
February. So are you just sort of like enjoying where you're at right now, or is there like big plan? Like, what are you working on?
Well, okay. So I've been in PR craziness with the book. So been
Sure.
doing that. So when, it's I'm gonna take some downtime, but I wrote book two. It's a 4 series book, and I'm in rewrites for book two. So I've been really working on that. And then, auditioning as always, because I'm always a working
Of
actor.
course.
There's interest in it becoming a TV show. So my husband and I wrote the pilot for the TV show. And, I'm just showing up for what's in front of me. So whatever
Yeah.
happens, I have no plans. I say, and my husband say, if this is all that happens, then that's all that's meant to happen. If, the 3 and 4, all those books explode, great. If they don't, it's okay too. Like, it's okay. At least I'm doing what's in front of me and showing up for my life and being of service to other people. But yeah, that's what I'm doing right
That's
now.
cool. I love that. Well, congratulations. It's nice when
Thank
people
you.
who have worked hard and really like deserve the thing in front of them that they get the thing in front of them. So congrats, and I'm very excited to see what comes next, or if,
Thank you.
whatever comes next.
Whatever comes next.
So before we wrap up, and this is like a big topic, but I think we can condense because we've touched on it a little bit. We both have toddlers. Like I shared with you before we started recording, like I don't consider myself to be an addict. I was an abuser. I abused drugs for a long time. And it was really in replacement of like dealing with my shit, right? Like that's who I was. And I know I wasn't an addict because I was able to stop sort of without help. So that's a big differentiation. And I always like to make sure neither is great. One is like a pervasive disease. One is like an illness that stays with you for a little bit. So I think about a lot, when my daughter, who is 2, and I know your son is 3.5, right? Like when she gets to a certain age, and it's the age where I started not really taking care of myself mentally and sort of just saw the like development of me. How do I make sure that doesn't happen? So I know you had said like a lot of what you're doing, like the boundary work, incredible. Yeah. Are there any other, and I like almost hesitate to say like tips and tricks, right? It's because it's our like mental health and it's this huge thing, but what are you focused on with your son to kind of lead down a better path or an easier path than what you ended up walking?
Well, I try to take away anything that can take away his imagination. So I'm not really big into him being on the iPad. He doesn't play on my phone because those are so addictive for adults. I can't even imagine a child's mind how bad it is. I'm going to protect him from video games and violence. I'm going to protect him from seeing sexuality too young, because that's what happened to me. I saw a lot of things that I shouldn't have seen, and like love stories. And so around media, even though I am an actor, I think there's a time and a place. So that's one thing we really stress. And also to allow him to feel his feelings. Many times I wasn't allowed to be upset for no reason. So when he's upset, I'm like, what's going on? How are you feeling? And he doesn't know. And I'm like, it's okay. You don't have to know. And I don't try to like, let me give you a hug to make it better. So I really try to allow him to have his feelings, go through his process without me making it better, and then be there for him when he's done with that process. Yeah. I feel like times before I did this work, I couldn't handle people's feelings. It was too much. It felt like it was like, like it was draped all. I was too codependent. I took on their emotions. And now that I have a solid inner self, I can allow other people to have their emotions for it not to affect me and hinder my own process, but not hinder their process. So that's another thing. It's also showing healthy relationships in front of him. My husband and I hold hands, we kiss. I didn't get to see that as a kid. I didn't get to see a loving marriage. We have healthy fights. We communicate in front of him. It doesn't get nasty, what I saw. So we're just trying to do like the things that weren't modeled for us, for him. And then we have to really just surrender it to his God or his universe. He's going to go through his process. We're going to mess him up somehow. Like we're human, we're flawed, right? Like yes. Parenting is the hardest job in the world, harder than anything I've ever done. I mean, I've directed crazy people. I've produced movies. I've acted, like I've worked with some new nutters. Shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And parenting is the hardest thing, and it triggers you the most. So we're just trying not to put our issues on him and let him have his own process. And also just, he's going to have his own life too. Yeah. Like we can't control it, So yeah.
Good answer.
Ooh, it's a long answer.
No, it's a good answer. I think like people always talk about like, parenting is a mirror. Well, parenting doesn't have to be a mirror. Like let your kids have their own mirror. Hand them their mirror and say like, figure out your own shit. I'll help you. I'm here to help you. Your shit's not my shit. My shit is certainly not your shit.
Oh, and you know what else that I remember parents would say? They're like, well, I gave birth to you. I created you.
No.
Do what I say. And it's like, somebody said something one time is like, just because I gave birth to him doesn't mean I own him. He is his own person. And that really landed with me, because there's moments I want to say to him, what? I gave birth to you. I did all the work. Like I have that thoughts in my head, and I have to like stop them, because just because I gave him life doesn't mean I owe him or he owes me anything. You know what I mean?
It's hard. That is like a natural compulsion as a parent. Like for me, like, you know, we're a same-sex couple, like IUI, the whole thing with my wife. Like my compulsion is to be like, I paid for you.
Yeah,
you know,
right? You're like,
I
paid for you. You were a lot of money.
Yeah, like I really spent a lot of money. But like I would never, I have to remind myself, like, that's such shitty behavior.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Don't do that stuff. So yeah, that's a really good, you know, just because I gave birth to you or I paid for you, I don't own you at all. You're your own little person.
I don't own you. We don't own anyone. We are only own ourselves and are responsible for ourselves and our reactions.
That's some good inner child shit. That's very true.
Thanks.
Well, listen, thank you so much for being here. I have 2 final wrap-up questions. They are nowhere near as in-depth as what we've been talking about. So let's wrap it up on a beautiful little bow.
Okay.
So first question of the wrap-up, 3.5 years old. What is something at that age right now that you cannot live without?
Oh my God, the constant hugs. And he just looks at me and he says, I love you, Mama. I love you so much. And he's just like, can I have a hug? Can I have a hug? And I'm like, yes, you can.
100% yes. By the way, as an asterisk, if they ever make and I don't know if you've heard this before, if you're even going to know who it is, if they ever make a Real Housewives of Beverly Hills movie and they don't cast you as Erica Jane, I will burn Bravo Studios to the ground. And I mean,
oh my God, I kind of look like her a little bit with
the voice. It's the voice. Like I'm telling Andy Cohen, hear me. I will burn Bravo Studios to the ground if you do not cast her as Erica Jane.
Please.
Exactly. She's a lot more talented too. Okay. Anyway, last question. What is something you know now that you wish you knew before becoming a mom?
I guess the thing I would say when people say parenting is hard, I wish I could have had a glimpse on how hard it is because it just doesn't even, the words do not equal actually the job of being a parent. And you have to have tap out times. Like I will look at my husband and go, I'm tapping out. Like I'm going to go in the other room for a minute, you know, because that is just such a hard job. So I wish I could have had really knew what that meant when people told me that.
Would you have understood it even if you got a glimpse into it and you didn't have your own kid? Do you think you would have been able to really understand it?
Probably not. That would just be a fantasy that I wish I would have known better. But until you're in it, you're never going to know.
You're never going to know.
Never.
Well, listen, where can people follow you, listen to you? What's all of your socials, websites, all that good stuff? And we'll tag it out, of course, too.
Oh, thanks. You can follow me at Instagram at the Brianne Davis. I try to answer all my DMs. If you have any questions about the program or anything, I try to give all that information. You can go to secretlifenovel.com. My website's attached to that. Secret Life podcast is attached to that. All the articles, the interviews, everything, signed copies of the book called Secret Life of a Hollywood Sex and Love Addict. And you can go to Amazon and get it exclusively. It's right now it's on Kindle Unlimited. And then the audiobook is everywhere, which I had to act out, which was torture. So enjoy.
Enjoy it. She hated it. Thank you again for being here. And thank you for watching Shit Moms Won't Say. We'll see you next week.
Shit Moms Won't Say!